तुझसे बताता हूँ सारी बातें, वो मेरी हमराज है, मगर जो दिल की है बात असली, हो जाता हूँ गुमसुम के होठों पर है बस इतना आता. You are just so va-va-boom, you're just simply va-va-boom. You are just so va-va-boom.
You mentioned in an interview in the past that the Archies was your portal to the West in a lot of ways. So I'm curious, for people who are not familiar with Indian culture, or someone like myself not familiar with Anglo-Indian culture, how do you see this project acting as a portal in the other way?
Like you said, you're not familiar, but there are a lot of people, a lot of young kids that I've met, even in India, that are not familiar with Anglo-Indian culture. So, I mean, on one level, it tells you about this community, that this community exists, is in a lot of them are still living in India, and they were way more westernized in their being, in the way they lived, in their outlook, in their culture, in their food, in their everything. So it was a perfect fit to the Archies, and it kind of gives you a glimpse into the hill station life, into the life of this community, into yeah, it's a bit of a reverse.
Yeah, it's a two-way kind of.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Reema, maybe you can answer this, but what did the time period and this fictitious space allow for you to add to your story and the production design overall? Because I love the look of the film as well.
I mean, the time period was basically because both of us are Archie heads, and we wanted to go back to a time when we were reading Archie comics. There's something very timeless, universal, idyllic, and innocent. And that's what we were going for. And that's why we kind of situated it in the 60s, because it was a time that was, there was no social media, there were no computers. In India, I think we didn't even have television back then. And yeah, so we were kind of going for less is more kind of outlook. Yeah.
Like, how do you factor in the song lyrics or the vibe of the song? Do you already have those established before you start writing the story? I mean, how does that actually work?
No, that happens while you're writing it. We are also used to writing scripts with songs in it, because that's the grammar of Indian cinema, or most Indian cinema. So we are used to that, but and we wanted to retain that for this subject as well, because it's a film coming out of India, and we would like to use our grammar here. But I think when you start writing it and you come to a space, you know that this is a situation that you can relate in song, or this is a situation that this is a moment that can be expanded, an emotion that can be expanded, and therefore the use of music can be used, or this is a situation where it would be quirky to do it through a song. So it depends, but you have to pace your songs, you have to pace them correctly through the narrative, and the situation has to either take the story forward, expand the moment, highlight the emotion. It has to do something.
Speaking to the musical numbers, though, you have this really talented ensemble. I thought every character really shined. And then, a handful of unknown actors making their debut in film. I'm curious what the rehearsal process was like for this cast, because these numbers are really well choreographed and really well shot. So there's also camera choreography. If you could just speak to the process of bringing those musical numbers to life.
They were in a dance class with Bosco Caesar. Bosco Caesar are two very big choreographers that work in the Indian film industry, and they have an academy, a dance academy. I've worked a lot with them, and I basically sent the 7 kids to them. And they trained for 6 months, because it's not just dancing, it's also dancing in a different style of dancing. They had to learn a different kind of dancing, because a lot of it was period. So they did dance class for 6 months. Bosco Caesar choreographed some of the songs, and Ganesh Hegde's, it was my first time collaboration with him. He choreographed some of the songs, and it's a really fun process. Because you work with somebody who is doing the choreography, and therefore not just doing the dance steps, but they also know the best way to shoot that.
You're never too young to change the world. I kind of went back to when I was a 17-year-old. And I think Zoya went back to that too, because there is idealism to you. You think you can change the world. You think you can make it a better place. Not that I don't believe that now, but it was on, into 100 back then.
In a previous interview, I heard you guys talking about some of your goals in filmmaking was wiping geographical borders. I like that line, and making films for the world. And I do think you achieved that here. It's very universal language, regardless of like the difference in language. I thought the story really shines, and I can't wait for people to see it. It's very
Thank you.
charming. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Congratulations to you both.
जिंदगानी सुनाओ